They say the most dangerous predators never bare their teeth until it's too late. For centuries, the Galactic Federation had classified Earth as a contained threat, a backwater death world whose inhabitants were too primitive to pose any real danger. How wrong they were. I am Zorax9, Chief Historian of the New Galactic Archives, and I'm here to document the day that changed everything. The day humanity stopped pretending. It began with what the Federation considered a routine matter: the denial of humanity's request to establish colonies in the Proxima Centauri sector. The Federation Council, in their infinite arrogance, had grown accustomed to humans accepting their decisions with those peculiar upward curves of their mouthparts, what they called smiles. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the council that day, her posture relaxed, almost casual. Behind her, holographic displays showed the proposed colony sites, perfectly suitable worlds that just happened to contain rich deposits of quantum crystalline ore, a crucial component in faster-than-light travel. Distinguished council members, Chen began, her voice carrying the warmth of a stellar nursery. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not here to request permission. I'm here to inform you of our intention to proceed. High Councillor Vexthor, his crystalline form shimmering with indignation, rose from his seat. You dare. Earth barely qualified for Federation membership. You will submit to our authority, or what? Chen's smile remained, but something had changed. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. You'll sanction us, cut off our trade routes, perhaps send your peacekeeping fleet to blockade Earth. She pressed a button on her wrist device, and new holograms filled the chamber. They showed thousands of Federation ships, cargo vessels, medical transports, mining platforms. Each one had a human crew. For the past 50 years, while you've been patronizing us, humanity has been integrating itself into every aspect of Federation infrastructure. We crew your ships. We run your medical stations. We maintain your FTL drives. Did you never wonder why we accepted such menial positions with those pleasant smiles? The council chamber erupted in murmurs as the implications sank in. High Councillor Vexthor's crystalline surface had taken on a distinctly pale hue. This is outrageous. This is insurance, Chen interrupted. On Earth, we have a saying: hope for the best, plan for the worst. We hoped the Federation would eventually see us as equals. We planned for the possibility that you wouldn't. She gestured, and the holograms shifted again, showing the countless Federation worlds dependent on human-operated services. If you force our hand, we won't need weapons. Every human crew member, every human technician, every human doctor will simply take a day off. Imagine, council members, how long would your worlds last without the infrastructure you've allowed us to maintain? The silence that followed was deafening. Chen's smile remained, but now everyone could see it for what it really was: not submission, but the patient expression of a predator that had already won. The colonies in Proxima Centauri will proceed as planned, Chen continued. Consider this humanity's resignation letter from our position as the Federation's convenient servants. We'd rather be equals, but we're prepared to be adversaries if you insist. As she turned to leave, Vexthor found his voice. This is unprecedented. The Federation has stood for 10,000 years. Chen paused at the door. Then perhaps it's time for some unprecedented changes. Earth has been classified as a death world not because we're strongest or fastest, but because we're survivors. We adapt, we prepare, and most importantly, her smile finally faded, replaced by an expression that made several council members recoil. We learn from history. Your history taught us that asking nicely doesn't work, so now we're doing things our way. The council chambers emptied quickly after that, but I remained, recording everything. In all my centuries as a historian, I had never witnessed such a turning point. The Federation had ruled through bureaucracy and condescension for millennia, never realizing they were nurturing their own replacement. They had forgotten the cardinal rule of dealing with Death World species. Just because they're smiling doesn't mean they're happy. Just because they're serving doesn't mean they're submissive. And just because they're patient doesn't mean they'll wait forever. The humans had finally drawn their line in the sand. The galaxy would never be the same. A week after Admiral Chen's declaration, the Federation discovered just how thoroughly they had underestimated human preparation. I watched it unfold from my observation post on Centauri Prime. The Federation's response was predictably heavy-handed. They dispatched their elite enforcement fleet to contain the human expansion. 1,000 warships, the pride of Federation military might, emerged from hyperspace around Earth's solar system. Fleet Commander kYeah broadcast his demands with typical Federation pomposity: submit to containment protocols immediately or face orbital bombardment. The response came not from Earth's military command, but from Dr. Emily Zhao, Chief of Operations at Lunar Base. Her holographic projection appeared on every Federation ship simultaneously, a technical feat that should have been impossible. "Interesting threat," she said, adjusting her glasses. "But perhaps you'd like to know what you're actually surrounded by." With a gesture, she activated what humans had dubbed Protocol Lighthouse. Every asteroid belt mining operation, every orbital platform, every seemingly innocent research satellite revealed its true nature. The Federation fleet found itself encircled by a web of quantum gravitational manipulators, technology that humans had claimed was decades beyond their capabilities. "Those mining lasers you approved for our operations," Joe continued, "turns out they're remarkably effective at precision strikes when properly calibrated. Those atmospheric processors we installed on Mars, they generate electromagnetic fields strong enough to disable your shield systems. And those quaint little space stations you helped us build, each one houses a quantum computer capable of overriding your navigation systems." The Federation fleet's formation began to waver as ship after ship reported system malfunctions. Their supposedly encrypted command channels, filled with human voices reciting poetry. Ozymandias was a particular favorite. For 50 years, Zhu explained, her voice carrying the patience of a teacher addressing particularly slow students, "You've been approving our technology patents without really understanding them. You saw what you expected to see, primitive attempts to catch up to Federation standards. You never asked why we needed such precise gravitational measurements for simple mining operations. You never wondered why our atmospheric processors required such powerful electromagnetic fields." Commander kYeah's response came in bursts of static. "Impossible. Our analysts, your technology level." "Was exactly what we wanted you to believe it was," Joe finished. "On Earth, we have a game called chess. The key to winning isn't having the most powerful pieces, it's positioning them correctly while your opponent underestimates your strategy." The demonstration that followed would be studied in military academies for centuries. Without firing a single shot, the humans systematically disabled the entire Federation fleet. Gravitational fields precisely calibrated to disrupt shield harmonics. Electromagnetic pulses that turned advanced targeting systems into expensive paperweights. Quantum algorithms that convinced ship computers they were actually vintage Earth toasters. When it was over, the mighty Federation enforcement fleet hung motionless in space, their crews able to do nothing but watch educational documentaries about Earth's history that somehow kept playing on all their screens. "Consider this a practical demonstration," Zhu concluded. "Every piece of Federation technology that humans have worked on over the past 5 decades has a similar surprise built in. Every system we've maintained, every upgrade we've installed, every protocol we've learned, they're all part of what we call a technological insurance policy." She paused, letting the implications sink in. "We can shut down your transportation networks, disable your communication systems, and turn your most advanced warships into orbital museums. Or we can continue maintaining them, upgrading them, making them better, as equals, not servants." The Federation Council received the fleet's distress call 12 hours later. It took them another 12 hours to realize that every attempt to send help would face the same result. Humanity hadn't built a superior military force, they'd turned the Federation's own technology against itself. In my centuries of historical observation, I'd never seen anything like it. The humans hadn't just prepared for conflict, they'd woven their contingency plans into the very fabric of Federation infrastructure. Every service they provided, every job they'd accepted, every piece of technology they'd maintained, all of it had been part of an intricate strategy that no one had recognized until it was too late. The Federation had thought they were accepting useful servants. Instead, they had invited in architects of their own obsolescence. The third phase of humanity's revelation came through their most subtle weapon, economics. As Trade Commissioner Maya Singh stepped into the Federation's Economic Council chamber, she carried no weapons, only a data pad. "Let's discuss numbers," she began, projecting a holographic web of trade routes. "Specifically, how humanity has become the backbone of your economy while you weren't paying attention." The data streams told a story that made the Federation's economic advisors turn pale. Human corporations had systematically positioned themselves as essential intermediaries in virtually every major trade route. Their ships carried 60% of all Federation cargo. Their financial systems processed 75% of all interstellar transactions. Their manufacturing facilities produced 40% of all critical technology components. "For decades, you've restricted our official expansion," Singh continued, her voice carrying the calm certainty of someone who had already won. "So we expanded unofficially, through subsidiaries, through partnerships, through carefully constructed corporate entities that you never bothered to investigate fully." She highlighted specific nodes in the trade network. "See these major shipping hubs. Human-operated. These banking centers, running on human-designed software. These manufacturing facilities, staffed by human engineers. We didn't need to conquer territory when we could simply make ourselves indispensable." The Economic Council's chief administrator, a Voloran named Tekra, bristled visibly. "This is economic terrorism." Singh's laugh echoed through the chamber. "No, this is capitalism. You gave us access to your markets, assuming we'd remain minor players. Instead, we studied your economic systems, found their weaknesses, and positioned ourselves accordingly." With another gesture, she displayed the ownership structures of key Federation corporations. Hidden behind layers of shell companies and complex legal arrangements, human influence extended into every major industry. Right now, human corporations control enough market share to trigger an economic collapse that would make the Great Depression look like a minor setback. We could call in loans, suspend shipping operations, freeze financial transactions, all perfectly legal under Federation trade laws. The chamber erupted in chaos as economic advisors frantically verified her claims. Singh waited patiently until the noise subsided. "But we don't want to destroy the economy," she continued. "We want to participate in it, as equals. No more trade restrictions, no more artificial barriers, no more treating human businesses as second-class entities." She highlighted specific sectors of the economy. "We've prepared detailed proposals for economic integration that would benefit everyone. Equal access to markets, standardized regulations, fair competition. We can help the Federation economy grow beyond anything you've imagined, or we can demonstrate what happens when humans decide to take their ball and go home." The implications were staggering. The Federation had spent centuries building a complex economic system, never realizing that humans were quietly becoming its linchpin. They hadn't needed warships or armies, they had spreadsheets and market shares. "You have 24 hours to begin negotiations for new economic treaties," Singh concluded. "After that, human corporations will be forced to reevaluate their positions in Federation markets." As she left the chamber, I heard her humming an old Earth tune, something about knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. The Federation's economic experts spent the next several hours discovering just how thoroughly humanity had woven itself into the fabric of galactic commerce. They had never understood that humans didn't just adapt to existing systems. They learned them, mastered them, and then rebuilt them from the inside out. The Federation had given them an inch of economic access, never suspecting they would construct a financial empire. The Federation's greatest miscalculation came in underestimating human medical ships. Dr. Aisha Roman commanded the medical vessel Mercy's Hand when the Federation attempted to restrict human medical operations. The Federation Medical Council had issued an order limiting human medical ships to primitive care only. Their timing couldn't have been worse. A pandemic was spreading through the Orion Arm, and human medical ships were at the forefront of containment efforts. "We will not comply." Dr. Roman's message was broadcast to every medical facility in Federation space. "We took an oath to heal, regardless of species or politics." When Federation enforcers attempted to board Mercy's Hand, they discovered why human medical ships never needed military escorts. The vessel's medical scanners revealed their true purpose. They could detect and target any biological or mechanical weakness with surgical precision. These scanners, Roman explained to the increasingly nervous boarding party, can identify a cellular mutation at 50,000 kilometers. Imagine what they can do to your ship's structural weak points. Our quarantine fields. They can isolate and contain a virus, or your life support systems. Those precision surgical lasers, they cut through more than just tissue. The Mercy's Hand demonstrated its capabilities by systematically disabling the enforcement vessel's critical systems. No casualties, just precisely targeted systems failures that left them helpless in space. "Every human medical ship carries these capabilities," Roman continued. "We hoped we'd never need them. But we learned long ago that healers must sometimes protect themselves to continue healing others." The real power play came next. Roman transmitted data showing the extent of human medical influence in Federation space. 70% of advanced medical procedures were performed by human doctors. 80% of pandemic responses relied on human medical protocols. 90% of emergency medical transport was handled by human ships. "You can restrict us," she concluded, "but then you'll have to explain to your populations why their healthcare suddenly deteriorated. We'd rather continue saving lives, all lives, as equals in the Federation." The Medical Council's response was immediate, full accreditation for all human medical operations. They have finally realized that human medical ships weren't just carrying doctors, they were carrying the most precise and sophisticated targeting systems ever developed, disguised as medical equipment. Humanity had turned the tools of healing into the ultimate defensive weapons, all while actually using them to save lives across the galaxy. It was, as humans would say, a bitter pill for the Federation to swallow. Ambassador Michael Okoro's entrance to the Federation Grand Council marked the beginning of humanity's final diplomatic maneuver. He carried no weapons or no armor, only an impeccably tailored Earth suit that somehow seemed more intimidating than battle gear. "Let's be clear about what happens next," Okoro addressed the assembled council. "We've demonstrated our technological capabilities. We've shown our economic influence. We've revealed our medical superiority. Now, we're offering you a choice." The holographic displays activated, showing thousands of human-operated facilities across Federation space. Each one represented a point of critical infrastructure that humanity controlled. Option 1. The Federation acknowledges humanity as equals. Full voting rights, unrestricted expansion rights, and equal representation in all councils. We continue maintaining your infrastructure, running your trade routes, and providing medical care, but as partners, not servants. He paused, letting the first option sink in before continuing. Option 2. We walk away. Every human doctor, engineer, trader, and technician simply stops. No violence, no war. We just go home and let you discover how dependent you've become on our services. The council chamber erupted in protests. High Councillor Vexthor's voice rose above the chaos. "This is extortion." "This is consequences," Okoro corrected. "You created this situation by refusing to treat us as equals. We adapted, as humans always do. Now you must adapt to the new reality." He displayed the projected economic impact of a human withdrawal. The numbers were catastrophic: complete economic collapse within weeks, technological regression within months, medical crisis across thousands of worlds. You assumed our willingness to work within your system was submission, kYeah continued. It wasn't. It was preparation. Every job we took, every position we accepted, every service we provided, they were all steps toward this moment. The silence that followed was deafening. The Federation Council faced an impossible choice that wasn't really a choice at all. They had built their civilization on the assumption that humans would remain obedient servants, never realizing they were gradually ceding control of their entire infrastructure. You have 1 hour to decide, kYeah concluded. Choose wisely. The Federation Council's surrender came not with a bang, but with a barely audible whisper. After decades of patronizing humanity, they found themselves signing the Human Equality Act of 3157. Within days, the galaxy witnessed an unprecedented transformation. Human innovation, finally unleashed without restrictions, revolutionized Federation society. The same capabilities that could have brought the Federation to its knees were now openly shared to advance all species. We never wanted domination, explained Director kYeah of Earth's Interstellar Relations. We wanted collaboration. The difference is, now we collaborate as equals. The changes were immediate and far-reaching. Human medical technology openly shared, saving billions. Trade routes optimized with previously hidden human algorithms, doubling efficiency. Defense systems enhanced with human innovations, creating unprecedented peace. Most remarkably, humans maintained their characteristic adaptability. They seamlessly transitioned from potential destroyers to genuine partners, teaching other species the art of preparation without paranoia, strength without aggression. The Federation learned its most crucial lesson. Underestimating humanity wasn't just a mistake. It was a failure to recognize that true strength lies not in domination, but in the patient, careful building of influence. Humans hadn't conquered the Federation. They had become so essential to it that separation was unthinkable. As I conclude this arc of entry, I'm reminded of an old human saying, "The most dangerous species isn't the one that fights first, but the one that fights last." Humanity had proven they could have destroyed the Federation's civilization without firing a shot. Instead, they chose to save it. The day the Deathworlders decided to stop being nice became the day the galaxy truly began to thrive. Not through force, not through war, but through the uniquely human combination of infinite patience and careful preparation. In the end, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, their economic power, or their medical expertise. It was their ability to smile and wait, building foundations so deep that when they finally stopped being nice, the entire galaxy had no choice but to listen. The Federation still exists, but it has been transformed, and every species still tells stories about the day they learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to destroy, it was their patience in choosing not to.